This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
It is 10:07. And time to fly those fiendly skies of United Airlines. Oh, my. Well, let's head to Mike King. And did I hear that Tim Connolly was also here?
Absolutely.
I am really beginning to
celebrating the great PR from United Airlines.
Oh, is that a great one or not? Oh, you know, Tom Sullivan, who does afternoons at Fox Business, and we carry him here, he said, I want to welcome our new sponsor, United Airlines. And they had the beautiful United Airlines music intercut with the screams of the sky. Oh, man. Oh, it was so sick. It was very funny. Oh, man. All right, Tim, you're a CEO. Get out of that one. How in the world do you get...
Oscar Munoz made the stupidest moves imaginable for the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar organization.
Oh, no.
Say, I'm proud of the way we handled it in accordance with our policies. Right.
Well,
that went over well. This morning on CNBC, they replayed that about 10 times.
Well, now, you know what I thought was very interesting is that there were no United Airline personnel near that guy. It was all airport cops. I thought that was just weird. It just seemed very strange.
Absolutely. The whole thing was strange. And the fact that they bumped people for 4 employees of not even United, by the way. It was someone they have they have these inter-airline agreements for moving employees around. I mean, it is the worst PR on the face of the earth. Just ridiculous.
Well, okay. See, I assumed that they were United people that had to be in Louisville. So, oh, God. If it was a different airlines, that's even worse. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, guys, why am I looking up and seeing nothing but red? I mean, this all these charts seem to be red. Well, except for Europe. They seem to be pretty happy. And, Tim, your famous area, I'm really beginning to dislike you because my gas prices are up at the pump. Anyway, oil, Brent, and natural gas are all down this morning. What's going on?
Well, one, because if I were going to err on the side of oil today, I would be shorting it. It's back up at 53 for the first time. I got my quotes from Cargill this morning. There are $50 puts back in the market. This is the first time in 2-3 months. And when oil made this move up at $53 before, in fact, it got to 54. We were on the air just before the Saudis gave their famous speech here in Houston at Ceres, and all of a sudden it went from 54 to 49 just like that. And, you know, there's not less oil out there. We would have to drop a nuclear bomb on Syria to have a meaningful effect on oil supply.
Well, that's coming in the next 48 hours.
And if we're going to do that, let's just do the Straits of Hormuz and cut off about 35% of the world's oil supply. Then we'll be back up at $100 oil pretty quickly. But,
you're so bad.
But regardless, there's just more coming. You know, we were up 16 rigs last week. We're up 400 rigs since the bottom of the downturn. The Permian Basin is producing much more oil than people think, and the Eagle Ford is starting to re-drill now. We had 4 new wells in the Eagle Ford in the last 2 weeks. So we're going to see more supply coming to the market, not less. And I just don't see it. The 5-year chart is still flat at $53. 5-year hedges.
Really?
$53. Yes, sir.
Wow.
So the institutional long-term buyers in the world do not believe there's going to be a big spike in oil.
Interesting stuff. Wow. Well, you're the expert there, that's for sure.
But the good news is, as a producer, I can actually hedge all of my production today. I can get what's called a cashless collar and get guaranteed $50 a barrel for all of 2017 and 2018 in return for giving up the upside of anything over $58 a barrel. Well, I'll do that deal in a heartbeat. I just don't think it's going to be there long.
Okay, interesting. Well, I remember, Mike, when you brought a couple very small oil companies to us, to this show, maybe 10 years ago. And
Lucas was one of them.
Yeah, and this is all Permian Basin drillers, right?
Well, Lucas was in the Eagleford.
Oh,
yeah,
that
Lucas
Eagleford,
was Eagleford, and they're Permian Basin wannabes, but they're not producing in the Permian yet.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, but I remember talking with those guys, and they were talking about hopefully 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, this would be happening, and I'll be darned, it's happening. The Permian's on fire.
It is absolutely on fire. People are still completing what are called DUCs, drilled but uncompleted wells, that many of the majors and the mid-tier went ahead and drilled the wells while the market was down, when drilling costs dropped by, in some cases, as much as half, and they just didn't complete them, so they didn't produce them. And the latest estimate, it was 5,000 DUCs that were in Texas, Oklahoma, and Colorado as little as 6 months ago. That's down to 3,500, but that's still 3,500 wells that could be brought to the market pretty quickly. And I think people are underestimating. We're currently at about 9 million barrels a day, and I think we could be up to 9.2, 9.3 by summer. So we're going to be working our way up into the world oil markets, but we still burn almost 20 million barrels a day in the United States. So we got a long way to go before we're energy independent.
By how long do you think?
Well, imagine for us to get to 20 million barrels from 9.2 barrels today. It just all depends on how prolific the Permian is and the new Alpine play. But I don't know if anybody's saying that it could produce 9 million barrels a day. So that would take more analytics. But still, between us and Canada, we certainly could be producing enough to not have to buy from overseas. That would be nice.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah, that really would be something. Wow.
So would that make the Brent more of a spread to the upside? Would theirs get more expensive, or would they just have so much there, since they're not importing to us, that market would come in also?
I think they're going to be seeing more. I met at the World Oil Council meeting a woman who was an executive with a company called L7, which is a Russian-owned E&P company. She said they have been developing African fields now there for 3 years, and they're going to come into the market the latter part of this year and next year. And she thinks that their African fields alone are going to bring 2 million barrels a day by the end of 2018. So
amazing how 10 or 12 years ago they were talking about peak oil.
Yeah. But, of course, now the big conversation, we're going to be abandoning oil, and by the early 2020s, we'll be running around in all-electric cars. Of course, people forget that without the subsidies, electric cars don't mean anything. And I'm pretty sure this administration is not going to fund subsidies for electric cars, and with a little luck, we'll quit having the ethanol subsidies.
And speaking of ethanol, my dear governor in California, Governor Jr.,
Governor Moonbeam?
Governor Moonbeam just passed the anti-cow law. So it went into effect over the weekend, which
how are they gonna control that?
Well, that's a very good question, but the press release from the California dairy farmers was very strong and saying, we'll just move the cows. It's been done before. And so you just think, whoa.
Where, in Nevada?
Yeah, well, Mike's backyard. We could do, the cows could have fun with Mike's dogs,
Mike's backyard is pretty much taken up with the pool.
Yeah.
So unless they don't want to eat and they are able to swim, they're going to be out of luck.
Yeah. But, no, seriously, where do they move? Where does the entire California milk industry move to? Well, I would think it would.
Not only milk. I mean, it's everything alive with milk. Cheese.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, they advertise the hell out of that, California cheese.
You bet. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I just can't believe it. It's like.
I'm more concerned with an article I saw on, that Yahoo Business feed that 16-year-old kid sold for $15 million. I have it as an app on my phone.
Okay.
And they had a piece this morning on the Colorado River, how all of the drinking water, irrigation for agriculture, and places like Las Vegas has so dramatically cut into the Colorado River that it's practically not making it
It's a
to the
creek.
Gulf of California.
It's a creek. Oh, yeah. Well, but,
Yeah.
going back to, when was I there? The longest year of my life. It was 1986 or 7, doing UNLV. There were articles in the Las Vegas Journal about if this city ever grows to any great length, there will be no water for Phoenix, Tucson, Los Angeles, and San Diego. And that was back in the 80s. And obviously Vegas is exploded. So that makes perfect sense. There's just no water to go all the way down to Colorado. I get that. Yeah.
There's a guy who writes for not one of your local papers, but sort of, the Miami Herald. His name is Carl Hyacin.
Oh, yes. Very famous. Yeah.
Hiiasen, and he is one of the funniest guys I have ever seen. And he writes novels besides his, daily column.
Oh, you bet.
Column.
He's very famous.
And they're always very funny, but they always have some sort of an ecological bent to them. And it's his contention that nothing will change in Florida until the people in the middle of the state go to turn on their water, their tap water, and it comes out brackish.
Yeah.
You know what? What's going to happen is the same thing that Israel has managed to do successfully, is people are going to have to start using ocean waters and doing desalination processes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it's going to have to happen. Because
And no pun intended, they have it down to a science. I mean, they really, it's a fact of life there.
Tim, it's interesting you say that. When Carol and I were working in television in San Diego, there was the big story was that Tijuana was going to build a water plant, and now, fast forward to nowadays, San Diego is buying water from that desalination plant in Tijuana because there isn't any on the Southern California coast. And now it's almost too expensive to build them.
And isn't that amazing? It's only too expensive to build them until, as you just pointed out, brackish water comes out of somebody's tap in their house in the Hollywood Hills. When that happens,
Yes.
it'll get built.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we don't care how expensive it is. And, there were a lot of rumors that, when they took the nuke plants offline, San Onofre, and then going on up the coast, San Luis Obispo, and they took both of them off, and that those would eventually become desalination plants. But there's so much contaminated water around them because of the nuke stuff and the nuclear waste that will not happen. So, it's amazing. Something's going to have to give because obviously Mike King's palatial city, Las Vegas, is only going to continue growing, as is Phoenix, as is Tucson. You're right.
Well, and here's what's happened in Houston. 2 years ago, Houston passed a bond issue for $5 billion over 30 years, and it's being funded by fees on our water. And I have seen my water bills literally have gone from $100 a month to $200 a month, but we're building a huge infrastructure to replace our water supplies because our water supplies in Houston were causing subsidence all over this part of Texas. And so we had to find new surface water supplies. And so we're running lines for literally 100 miles in several directions to be drawing water off of surface lakes and building up those lakes in order to protect our water supply.
And whoever expected you guys in Houston, and then especially San Antonio, to explode in population the way you both have? I mean, Dallas, everybody knew, but I think Houston and San Antonio were a bit of a surprise. Would you think?
Well, having lived in Houston all my life, I've gotten used to the mosquitoes, the humidity, and the heat. So I think it's a great place to live.
Yeah, the 7-foot-tall mosquitoes. Yes, I remember Houston very well. Yeah. Wow.
And it can be a problem here, but I think Houston is founded on an entrepreneurial spirit. That in Houston, it's amazing. Somebody with a good idea and the energy to go after it, you'll get an audience in Houston. Other cities, the clicks, the difficulty of going to New York and trying to be someone new, penetrating that market, and other areas is pretty tough. But Houston loves great ideas. Houston loves people with the energy and the brains to bring something new to the table, and let's see if that works. And that's really the culture of Texas, not just Houston.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I don't think, no, El Paso doesn't get its water from the Colorado. It's too far east. I don't know where El Paso gets its water, as a matter of fact.
What about the Rio Grande?
What about it?
Oof, man, the Rio Grande is a pretty
Not so
iffy
grand?
water source.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah, I would think so, too. Yeah, there's some
Well,
area.
but doesn't it just run down the border between Texas and Mexico?
You
Isn't
have
it pretty
my
close
point.
to El
Yes,
Paso?
you just
Yeah.
made my point. Have
Right.
you seen, like, the copper
Yeah.
mines Asarco used to dump
Oh, right.
directly
Oh, yeah.
to
You
Rio
bet.
Grande there for years and years? And that
Yeah.
copper and those fines never goes away. It's probably still sitting at the bottom of the Colorado River.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was just a big article. It may have been in Barron's this past weekend about one of the open pit gold mines that was being heavily fined because of the use of cyanide to leach the gold out of these open pits and what they were doing with it, and the fact that its its half-life is whatever it is, and that it just doesn't go away.
Just got one of my news wires that I want to share with you guys that could explain a little bit of what's happening in oil here. Last month, Saudi Arabia pared its oil production to the lowest since January. They cut output an additional 111,000 barrels per day. So I don't think they liked it dropping as low as it did after they gave their speech where they weren't going to subsidize U.S. producers. Because this is exactly, this explains it, because something had to be happening here. And I've got another newsletter that offshore storage is getting tapped right now. And it just it's interesting to see that the Saudis still did this after that speech last month and cut another 111,000 barrels a day. This is so precarious. If the Saudis and the Russians don't play nice in June, we're back in the 40s.
Well, with everything that's going
I can't
on in
imagine
Syria.
that the Russians can play anything in.
Well, yeah, with everything that's going on in Syria too,
what it's going to cost them. It's got to be costing them, a ton of money in Syria. And if we step up there, their expense is going to double or triple, I'm going to guess.
Now, Tim,
and their economy is so precarious today.
Yeah.
Very precarious. And now they finally have a president in the United States that actually not only has his finger on the trigger, but will pull it.
Yeah. Well, now, Tim, wasn't Russia, stories from 2-3 years ago, really looking at 2018 and 19 and 20 as their major oil exploration, I don't know what you call it, record outputs or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what this woman from L7 Holdings was saying.
Okay.
She said, now, their old fields are declining, and they have a lot of infrastructure that's got to be rebuilt. But, they are out there exploring for new oil, and they're doing it too. But once again, as you just mentioned, this is a very precarious economy over there. They are not doing well. Their populace does not prosper along with all the oligarchs and Vladimir and his cronies. And they've got some real problems. And the only card they have is playing the whole militaristic jingoism, from Mother Russia. We're going to invade the Ukraine. We're going to protect Syria. We're going to keep those nasty Americans out of our business.
Yeah, I'm guessing with the melting of the polar caps that they're going to have a whole lot of land to explore.
Eric Bauer here.
Siberia and north.
Let's welcome Eric Bauer of RMS Medical Services.
Guys, I'm going to drop off so Mr. Bauer
you very
can talk
much,
about
Tim.
his company.
All right, Tim.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right.
Take it easy, Tim.
Boy, Tim Connolly, our oil expert who continues to break news, and with Mike King in Las Vegas, Charles Moskowitz in Boston. Eric, welcome aboard from RMS Medical.
That's a new name.
Thanks a lot for inviting me.
Yeah, well, tell us about yourself. I know, you're a new voice from RMS.
Yes, I am. I'm the new Chief Operating Officer here at RMS, and I have over 35 years of experience in manufacturing operations, marketing, sales. I spent 22 years working for the Eastman Kodak Company, and then went on to be CEO of a manufacturing company that provided products for pharmaceutical companies and cosmetic companies, and then went on to be CEO of another company, which we did contract manufacturing for the cosmetic arena. And now I'm here at RMS as the Chief Operating Officer. I'm excited to be here. I have all the responsibility for operations, HR, marketing, sales, and I'm leading efforts around developing the goals and objectives and the strategy for the business, and figuring out how to commercialize new products going forward. So a lot of exciting things going on here at the business. RMS is a global leader in the home infusion arena, and it's great to be part of an organization that has such a great reputation and has such a great future ahead.
I'm glad you're not at Eastman Kodak any longer. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist that. Oh.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Like the guy who jumps from Eastman Kodak to Polaroid.
Oh, man. No.
Yeah, Polaroid would be worse. But, Eastman Kodak had its issues. And it was basically a situation where the digital world replaced the analog world. And, the film has gone the way of the buggy whips. And so the company has moved on to other things. It's much smaller. When I joined Kodak in Rochester, New York, there were 65,000 people who worked in Rochester alone for Kodak.
I'll bet.
150,000 worldwide.
Yeah, not a surprise. Yeah, it was a company town. There was no doubt about it.
Yeah,
sure.
It was a massive production facility there. That's where I really got my roots in manufacturing and a lot of international experience. And 22 years with Kodak, they invested heavily in me. They paid for my MBA. They sent me to executive programs. I moved up through the ranks. So I got a lot of great training, great preparation, a lot of international experience, and it well prepared me to come to a company like RMS.
You know, it's interesting. You say that, and I know Charles and Mike King have talked about this forever, about how technology can change everything. I mean, it's truly amazing how our world is different now because of the whole new digital technology.
Oh yeah, it's digital. Everything that you think about in terms of digital, I end up working with these young people here who don't even remember what it was like not to have a cell phone. And back in the 1980s, when you were out of the office, you were out of the office.
Yes,
Nobody
exactly.
could contact you. And when you were home, you were home. Now, everybody, we work 24/7. I mean, you are never disengaged from work. It's impossible to get away from it these days.
It's amazing. Yet you have a product at RMS that is really incredible because it needs no electricity.
It's almost counterintuitive.
Yeah, I know, isn't it? Yeah, but it's perfect for especially disaster situations. I mean, it's truly amazing the products that you have at RMS.
Yeah, it's funny. RMS products, the simplicity of them is what gives them their incredible features when, in fact, the whole world is trying to go to digital and automation. And there are products out there today that are all electronic. So when you walk into a hospital and you look at all of the pumps and devices they use for infusing people in hospitals, they're very complex, very digitally oriented electronic devices. But the world is changing, and the world is moving away from hospitals. It's moving into the home market. People are literally being kicked out of the hospitals as quick as they can, and they have to go to taking care of themselves in home. It's not only that people are being told, you need to have your therapy at home because the hospitals are too expensive, but when you get home, you have to do it yourself. I mean, a nurse will come and give you a little bit of training, but after that, you are responsible for taking care of your own infusions, your own drug infusions, take care of yourself. And because of that, the simplicity of the RMS products, without having to have a battery, without having digital displays or having to program it like a computer, the simplicity of them has made them incredibly successful because the patients who just want a very simple system to deliver the drugs that they need that make them healthier. And the RMS system is perfect for that. There are electronic pumps, but the patients say that they're too complex. I have to program them. I have to worry about whether there's batteries in them, whether they're charged or not. And the RMS products are very, very simple. They do an incredibly complex task because of the design of the product, but the mechanism, the switching, there's literally you just wind it up, and then you hit one switch on, off, and it delivers the drug, the infusion that you need. It's very simple, but the device inside is incredibly complex. So that's the secret sauce or something you might want to say about RMS is our products are highly calibrated, very highly engineered products, but they are incredibly simple to use for the patients who need to use them. That's the magic that makes them very successful.
Yeah, and we've talked with Andy over the years, and I think the big news there is your systems could really be in every ambulance around the world. I mean, it's just they're perfect for emergency situations.
Yes, they're perfect. In fact, whether it's emergency situations or in-home situations, or we actually have a patient who takes his infusion devices out camping with him. And what our products do is allow you to have the freedom to use them anywhere, anytime. And that's what's incredibly unique about them is you don't have to worry about the power, whether you're talking about our infusion devices or our suction devices that we use. Our suction devices are used in ambulances. They're mechanical devices that don't require power in any way. So, yes, they can be used in emergency situations. We're talking to, for example, the military right now about our devices being used on battlefields, in emergency medical hospitals, out on the battlefields, those sorts of things. So our devices are incredibly robust. They can be used in any situation, anytime, anywhere, and that's, as I say, that's one of the things that makes them incredibly successful going forward.
Eric, how much headway have you managed to make with the DoD?
We're making a lot of headway, not only with the DoD here, but with military, with the military and other governments as well. They're seeing the value in our products. So we're hoping that later this year we'll have our first order with the government, and we're very excited about that opportunity.
And as we've talked with Andy several times too, I would think FEMA would be a natural for you somehow. That would be a perfect operation for them.
Oh yeah, I mean any kind of emergency situation, our devices can be used in the field anywhere. You know, as you mentioned, there's no batteries, there's no electric required. They can be used on the ground in any kind of emergency situation. But it's incredible how many different applications and different situations these devices can be used in. We've now created we've had advisory boards in the past, but we have a new advisory board with medical doctors who are involved in allergies and immunology world. And we just had them in yesterday, and we're having discussions about all the potential applications, the new drugs that are coming out, and they are absolutely convinced, all of these doctors who live with this on a daily basis, that there are all sorts of new applications and new drug-type things that are coming along that are perfect for the subcutaneous infusion which we deliver. And one of the other things they were talking about yesterday was there's two ways to deliver drugs. One is IV, direct into the bloodstream. The other way is through subcutaneous infusion. Our products can do both, but the IV infusions are not nearly as effective as the subcutaneous infusions. The drug has a better therapeutic solution when it's given through subcutaneous, and so they see that market growing quite substantially, and all of these doctors are avid users of RMS products. They have tested every other product on the market, and they have said that RMS products are absolutely the best at delivering the drugs in a very uniform, constant way. And in their practices, they only use RMS products, the entire system of our products. So we're very excited to have this new advisory board. They're connected to all the drug companies. They're connected to all of the academic institutions who are testing new drugs, who are running clinical trials, and they are very supportive of our products, and they are convinced that our products are absolutely the best products for a whole variety of reasons. So we're very excited about that.
Boy, that sounds amazing. And I would think the whole allergy area would be kind of a whole new field for you guys as well, right?
Yeah, I know Andy has talked to you in the past about the PID, which is the primary immune deficiency group of people, but there's the whole allergy arena, there's the whole neurology arena. There are at least 5 other categories of opportunities going forward. Some of the information they provided us yesterday was that these immunoglobulin type products that are being developed by the drug companies today is a $9 billion business. That's just the drug element of it. And all of these drugs need to be delivered by some kind of a delivery mechanism, and RMS is the global leader in the home infusion and business. So the drugs themselves are a $9 billion business and growing today. 40% of that happens to be in primary immune deficiency. Another 40% of it right now happens to be in neurology patients. So neurology patients have all kinds of issues, and are finding that these immunoglobulin products are now having a very positive impact on those patients as well. So the patient population for these drugs is growing. The demand is growing. Our business is growing very rapidly. In fact, we've grown so fast now recently that we've outgrown the building that we're in. So we're in the process of looking to move to another building that we can expand and have new clean rooms and expand our productions. So we're doing very well as a business, growing quite well, and like I said, very excited about the future here.
Well, we've been trying to get Andy to move down to Florida all this time, so you don't get snowed in 8 months a year.
Yeah. Florida's a little bit too far away from us. We have a great workforce here, a great set of technical people, and also many of our vendors who provide services to us are located in the area, and so we need to stay close to them as well. So, but as I said, we've outgrown this building because our production needs, our customer demands are growing quite rapidly, and so we will be looking for a new building, which will allow us to expand our operations and add new shifts and new products, and so a lot of good things happening.
So will you stay in New York, or are you going to look in maybe Massachusetts or Connecticut?
We were looking at all the local areas, so we are looking at New Jersey, Connecticut, as well as New York. So we're looking for, when you're looking at places where you're going to go from a business point of view, you want to look at you want to have population centers that can provide you an excellent workforce. You want to be close to vendors and major roads so that you can have transportation going in and out. There's a whole set of criteria that you need to have to when you're actually working on selecting a building and where you're going to. But we are looking at the local states. So basically, it's New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut.
Yeah, because you have a very large network in New York, especially at the hospitals in New York.
Yes, well, we have networks. We are all over. Our products are all over the U.S., so we're networked in everywhere. And as I say, we are, we're roughly 90% of the market share in the U.S. So we dominate the U.S. Our products are well accepted in not only the hospitals but the academic arenas where they're running clinical trials, and also with all of the specialty pharmacists on a local basis throughout the U.S. Are all using our products. All the major specialty pharmacists are using our products. So it's hard to go anywhere where anybody's doing any kind of infusion and not see an RMS product. You can actually go on, if you go on Instagram, you can go on YouTube. There's an entire community of people who are infusing these immunoglobulin drugs, and they're sharing information with each other. They're sharing their pictures with each other, and sharing their experiences with each other. And in all their pictures, you see our products. It's something to get very excited about. I'm kind of proud to be part of this organization because you see all of these people sharing pictures of their infusion days, of holding up our Freedom 60 syringe driver. It's really fun to see all of this networking and communication that's going on where people are sharing information about RMS products.
Again, getting back to the digital age, it allows for that. Now, do you ever see manufacturing? I know you've got a huge distribution base in the Scandinavian countries. Do you ever see manufacturing over there as well?
Yes, I'm responsible for the overall manufacturing strategy. So we're looking at all options, and right now we're going to keep our manufacturing here in the U.S., but we are looking at options around the world in terms of manufacturing. One of the things I'm trying to get people to stop thinking about RMS as is a U.S. only company. We are not a U.S. company. We are really a global company. We have sales arms selling, and we are getting registered in countries all around the world. So you're going to find RMS products everywhere in the world in the future, and we are heavy outside the U.S. right now in the Scandinavian countries. We just put out a press release on Monday about our registration in Germany. We have a great partner in Germany who is expanding our business really rapidly in Germany right now. And we are working on registrations in multiple European countries as well as Asian countries over the next 12 months. So as far as actually moving manufacturing and having manufacturing in Europe, I would say that it's a absolute yes. We will eventually have it there. It's a matter of having critical mass. So you have to have enough demand and build the sales up to a level where it makes sense to now have all of this in the Europe, somewhere in Europe, to supply the European countries. So having come from a large global company, we had manufacturing plants at Kodak literally all around the world. And what you're trying to do is minimize your supply chain. You want to be close to your customers. You want to have, rapid turnaround, on-time delivery for your customers. And as you become more and more global, it's very difficult to do that from a single location anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter whether you're in the U.S. or anywhere. So what you end up having to do is have multiple locations. But you sort of step your way into it, where what we'll probably do as our first step is have a centralized we use distributors right now in Europe, and they hold our stock for us. But what we'll probably do is take a first step to selecting a location and having our own warehouse in Europe so that we can support our distributors throughout Europe. And then the next step will be to actually have the manufacturing there. So the simple answer is yes, at some point in the future that will happen. I can't tell you exactly when, but right now we're focused on developing all the countries, getting the sales growing, and they are growing. They're growing incredibly fast. In fact, we've had to add an additional shift here because our demand overseas is growing at a pace that outpaced what we were doing under the current manufacturing that we were doing. So we added an additional shift 2 weeks ago to up our production here at the country in the company.
That's phenomenal. That really is. Now, I've never asked Andy this. How large a facility are you working out of now in New York?
Our facility right now is about 30,000 square feet.
Okay.
So, but as I said, we've outgrown this facility. In fact, we've outgrown our parking spaces. We've added so many new employees that people are having to park on the road and on the you wouldn't think that parking spaces would be one of the criteria for where you're moving to or where your next building's going to be, but it is. You have to think about how many employees you have today, what's your growth of your employees, how much parking space do you need for your employees, and So we've not only outgrown the building we're in, we've outgrown our parking spaces. So our employee base is growing, and we will probably move to a facility that is somewhere in the range of 50 to 75,000 square feet. So we'll be probably more than doubling our facility in the future, and more than doubling our employee workforce as well. So we're very excited about that, and obviously as your demand goes up, you need to add more employees. So we're helping the state, we're helping the local community in terms of creating jobs here as well. And that's one of the things, all the states that we're talking to here, everybody wants us because we're a growing business, we're adding employees, and certainly, New Jersey in particular would love to have us create jobs in New Jersey, for example. So we do what's right for the company, but we're also helping the community and creating jobs, and it's nice to be able to be part of that as well.
Now, Eric, I know you mentioned, obviously, for obvious sake, you need clean rooms, stuff like that. Would this be a custom build? So are you starting from ground zero, or could you walk into, say, an existing, I don't want to say warehouse situation, but you know what I mean. It's just, would this be a custom build?
Yeah, we're looking at all options right now. We're looking at existing buildings which are basically, they are warehouse buildings. And so we need office space, we need production space, and we need actual warehouse space. So we are looking at existing buildings in the area, and we're also looking at land to build. So the problem with buying an existing building, and we've been going out and visiting a number of different buildings that are available. None of them are quite perfect for exactly the production and what we do. So we're doing the financial analysis of, leasing versus buying versus building sort of thing. And I think we're coming to the conclusion that our business is unique enough that we really need to sort of build a building that is just the right building for us, that would also be just right for our clean rooms, for our warehouse space, for our office space, such that it fits the environment in exactly what we need. And as it turns out, as we do the financials on this, the cost of building a building really isn't on an annual basis any different than if you just go out and lease an existing building. So if the math works out right, you really are better off building a building that is custom to what you need. And then within that building, when you talk about the clean rooms are very modular in a sense. So you can buy a modular clean room and it's basically a building within a building. It's a room that you build within a building. And so we're going to be expanding and adding new clean rooms, and by building a building that's just right for us, we can drive significant improvements in efficiencies, cost reductions, and there's a lot of things, the benefits that come to when you can design a building that's perfect for your operation, as opposed to trying to fit into a building and put all your pieces and parts into a building that isn't quite the right shape of what you're looking for.
Sure.
So we're putting a lot of thought into this, a lot of business analysis, a lot of evaluations of the different states and the incentives. Each state provides all kinds of incentives for creating jobs in their states, and so there's a lot to this in terms of a decision process. But our goal is to be into a new building about a year from now. So we have sort of an accelerated time frame, and a year seems like a long way off, but it's really not, because we're an FDA-regulated site, and we have to have all kinds of approvals. We have to do all kinds of validation work when we build new clean rooms. We have to go in and test them. So it takes a while to get through all the validation work. And if we were a typical factory, you could just pick up and move, and it's not a big deal. But because we're an FDA-regulated site, it's much more involved than just picking up and going to a new location.
Boy, this is a great story. You know, we've been talking with you for a decade now, and it's truly amazing to see the growth of RMS Medical. And Eric, welcome aboard. Charles, Mike, any questions for Eric?
Yeah, this stock is extremely cheap. The stock should be trading between $3 and $4, and it's like 40 cents, 44 cents. This is a great opportunity. This company.
Oh yeah, this RMS. When I started looking at it, I've only been here for 3 months, and this company is poised for incredible growth. And I looked at the stock price, and I was shocked at how low it was for the value that this company is. And
Yes.
you know, one of the things we'll be doing here over the next couple months is we're going out with a whole new marketing plan, which is to share some of the secrets of the infusion industry, set some of the clear up some of the misinformation that's out in the marketplace about RMS and about our competitors, and we're going to be really, really aggressive here about communicating our message and the value of our products, and communicating. People don't understand how much we're growing on a global basis. And, you know, we're putting out new press releases about everything that we're doing going forward to try and help communicate to the investors of the world to say, hey, look at this company, pay attention, because, you know, the global growth and the production growth and the growth of employees is it's quite substantial. And, you know, I've been here for 3 months, and I'm telling you, I'm incredibly excited about this company. We are going to be a dramatically bigger and far more successful company over the next several years. It's and now's the time to get in. I mean, this is the time.
Yes.
Wow, that's great, Eric. The new COO at RMS Medical, and welcome aboard. And we'll be talking with you for another 10 years, I'm sure. Wow, Mike, good get there with Eric at RMS Medical, and of course Tim Connolly, our oil expert as well, in the first half of the show. That does it for another week of Money Info, brought to you by Princeton Research. Don't forget that newsletter every Sunday night. And you are listening to Money Info, brought to you by Princeton Research from the Treasure Coast Lexus studio at WPSL Port St. Lucie. Talk of the Treasure Coast. WPSL TV on YouTube.